Welcome to the Camera Dude Podcast, where we focus our lens on business. We will cover the art of business and everything in between. Join your host, Rob Moorman, a seasoned photographer and RV park owner with over 27 years of experience, as he captures insights from industry experts and fellow entrepreneurs. From mastering customer service to igniting creativity, we explore the common threads that weave through successful businesses. Get ready to click, snap, and discover on the Camera Dude Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Camera Dude Podcast, where we explore stories, strategies, and life lessons behind successful people and successful businesses. Today's guest is someone many of you may know from Network Professionals Incorporated. Dr. Meli Brock has built a practice helping people improve their health through acupuncture, herbal medicine, and other holistic modalities. Now, I'll be honest, I've experienced acupuncture myself and found it fascinating, but I know there are still plenty of people who hear the word acupuncture and immediately think, does that really work? So today we're going to pull back the curtain on what acupuncture actually is, what the science says, how it helps patients, and how Dr. Brock built a successful business around helping people feel better naturally through acupuncture. Through acupuncture and herbal medicine. So welcome Dr. Meli Brock to the Camera Dude Podcast.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, Rob. So glad to be here with you.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you. I've been looking forward to this all week. So that I don't mess it up, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? Talk about your family, whatever you want, and your hobbies too.
Okay. Well, I am from Houston, Texas, and I grew up there for a lot of my childhood. My parents were self-employed. They actually do computer programming and teach for offshore oil rigs. So I got to travel a little bit with them and kind of experience some of that. And I moved out to Vail, Colorado in my 20s.
Cool.
I was kind of a tomboy as a kid, kind of sailing, fishing, blue jean wearing, tree climbing. And my mom was really into gardening. And I actually developed a love of gardening from her. And part of my love for herbal medicine came from that as well, because I recognized, and she was always teaching me about the things in the garden that were good for certain ailments. And it just developed in me a fascination with plant medicine from a childhood. So that's a lot of where I started getting interested in herbs. And when I moved out to Colorado, I actually was in construction and design for quite a while.
Wow.
In my 20s.
I didn't see that coming.
And I really, I was looking as an income. It's out there. It's hard to make a living. And I really was doing well. I had a crew of 10 guys. I was running big jobs, multi-million-dollar homes by myself. And I loved what I did, but there's an aspect of stress to it as well. And I knew that I wasn't really meant to be doing what I was doing, but, you kind of just do what you're doing. And at the point where I met my husband, we both had a love for natural medicine, and the economy had actually tanked as well. So we chose that time to buy a house that was in very bad disrepair and fix it up with no mortgage and live in it and go back to school and do what we love.
I love that. So I have a hard time seeing you yielding a whip, keeping contractors moving on time and getting jobs done, and dust and, bricklaying going on and all of that. I did a slight amount of construction just out of high school with a friend of mine's dad. I did it long enough to know that that's not what I was going to do the rest of my life.
Exactly.
So I entered the motion picture industry, actually, and did 10 years of filmmaking behind the scenes. And oddly enough, I ended up as a truck driver, which wasn't a goal, but I was driving trucks in the motion picture industry, commercial license and all of that. I was making so much money doing that for the late 80s, early 90s, that I got stuck in that job. And I loved it, and I loved the people. And even though you're driving a truck, you're still on set. Once the trucks are parked, your job is to go on set and help the lighting guys or wherever the director sends you to, hey, they're slow over there, go help them. And so I learned a lot, which is what gave birth to my photography career.
That's so interesting. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually had a brief caveat into scenic arts. I'm an artist as well.
Oh, cool.
And I love to paint and do sculpture. So I went and worked out at Disney for a while in the scenic arts industry and out at MGM Studios.
Nice.
So a lot of what you see out at Expedition Everest, I was one of the lead artists out there.
So cool.
So yeah,
I knew you were
brief
cool.
caveat.
I could tell. I could tell. So no wonder you liked the background when you came in. That is a hand-painted background in our studio by a gentleman. Les Brandt is his name, and sadly Les has passed away. But he was known nationwide for painting backgrounds for photographers, hand-painted.
I could tell, yeah.
Everything now is printed on a big whatever, and it's not the same.
You can see the difference.
Yeah, I always said if I retire, I'm taking that background with me.
Of course.
It's just going to hang in my office so I could look at it.
Backdrop.
Some of my best work and most awarded stuff took place on that background, so it's kind of cool to see that. All right, so you said you were a tomboy. Tell us more. Bicycling, climbing trees. Did you like race bicycles or anything?
Actually, when I moved out to Colorado, it's funny. I always thought I was going to be a marine biologist as a kid. I really love the ocean. I grew up sailing, and when I moved out to Colorado, I started, fishing the rivers there,
Awesome.
Of course, and everything like that. But I got into dirt bike racing as well. So that's definitely a little bit of my, I even hurt myself trying to race the arena cross one time. I have some fun memories from that.
Absolutely love tomboys. I also married one. So my wife, Tina, has a degree in welding. She also has a degree in fine art from Florida State and then vocational school welding. But she gardens and we bicycle and kayak and we're boating and all of that stuff. So I like that.
So I was also on the Hobie kayak fishing team from about 2013 to 2022. And I went to China 6 years in a row to represent the United States fishing for the team. And that was quite the experience. So I really loved doing that. It was mostly less about the competition for me and more about showing ladies that you can really get out there and get involved in the sport. Perfect. And teaching,
And I would say you're still doing that because you're running your business and you're on top of your game. And I know there's roadblocks that I probably don't even understand being male, but at the same token, it's appeared that you've conquered all of that and you're doing it. You're in business, you're up and running, and people are feeling better about themselves physically, emotionally because of what you do. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty neat. I love it, actually.
So what you talked about herbs and all of that, and so we'll get into that in depth, but also acupuncture. When did you add that into your career?
Well, actually, acupuncture came at a time when I had already a good basis in medical body work, and that was something my husband and I we followed this path together. We actually have a lot of the same skills because of how we went to school, and we pursued the body work portion, and you start with massage school, of course. But that was really never where we were going to stop because I see it as a medical tool and there were a lot of things beyond that we wanted to be able to achieve. So we actually, at the point where I was in school, we had a mentor who was an acupuncturist, and I was always fascinated by it. But there's a portion of that you learn in school as well about Chinese medicine and shiatsu and tuina as more Asian style massages. They're like little blips of what you learn.
Okay.
And so we had a mentor in the program who was an acupuncturist, and I also became pregnant with my son, Jackson. And I was very healthy, but I ended up with gestational diabetes. And I was shocked because I had always been great with my diet, really good on health. My weight was wonderful. Didn't really have any issues with exercise, just kind of surprising. And it's really nothing to do with any of those factors. It's how your body is handling all of the hormones and the changes from pregnancy. So I actually went and I talked to my mentor, and he was like, we're going to do some acupuncture. And I'm willing to try anything. So I had really fascination with it and I had tried it before more for stress related purposes and had it work beautifully for that. It really is wonderful at relaxing the nervous system because that's what it works with. So I was very surprised to hear that it could do anything for blood sugars in pregnancy. And so I tested my sugars right before treatment, and right after, they were well within normal limitations. He saw me once a week for 4 weeks. The first week was 2 times, and I was normal from that point forward. And I had actually already changed everything in my diet at the point in pregnancy where you're eating only proteins and certain vegetables, because some vegetables have carbohydrates and they would spike the sugars. I was really having to watch, and it was miserable. Like all the cravings. Yeah, and I was really trying to do my best because I didn't want to go on insulin while I was pregnant too.
Right.
So to have them come back down to normal was just mind-blowing to me.
So you experienced positive results firsthand.
And internally, medicine-wise, I was thinking all my life that acupuncture was more for pain or for stress. And I had no idea that it could actually treat internal conditions.
Wow. Oh, my firsthand experience was someone in NPI with us way before you joined. They had an acupuncturist studio. They worked from home, but they had a beautiful studio set up. It had its own entrance and all of that. And I went in for back pain and stress. And same scenario, a series of visits and all that she had planned to do the modality, I don't know, however many times she thought I needed and whatever. And I had also been going through a lot. Father passed away, big estate that needed to be settled, and that lasted 10 years. I felt guilty every time I left her office after the acupuncture session because I was so calm. I didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful experience. It really was. I think she's long since retired now. But so I know what you mean, at least for relaxation part of it. I think it helped my back. My problem is I'm constantly carrying all those big, heavy cases doing school portraits, and so I throw it right back out again. My chiropractor, the joke is that he's putting his kid through school because of me. So I don't know if that's true or not, but hey. So tell me this. We like to find out first, what was your very first job?
Oh, my goodness. My very first job actually was at my papa, is my grandfather, who is a huge mentor for me in life.
Awesome.
He worked at a company in Houston called Transco. And Transco moved to the tallest building in Houston, and it was called Transco Tower.
Wow.
And so I had the opportunity, even after he retired, he had some connections there. So I had the opportunity to go and work for their PR portion.
Neat.
So it was pretty neat first job. I got some experience with photography, actually. I got some experience with doing press releases and filing. Super interesting, but it was a great job.
On this podcast, we tell people's journey. So you had that very first job, and it was a legit job. A lot of us were like mowing lawns to get started or whatever. You're going to laugh, but I was 11 years old. My first job was self-employed. I was picking up dog excrement in people's yards for 20 cents a pile.
Hey.
But I made money doing it. My parents hated it because our dumpster always stunk. But other than that. Yeah.
Well, now that you mention it, Rob, actually, I guess my first job would have been making Mardi Gras masks for neighbors who agreed to buy one. I went door to door to certain neighbors, and if they wanted a mask, and I had had an example, but that was pretty young, so I guess that would have been the first one.
Okay, very good. So tell me this, just because I always ask this. It's about a journey here on this podcast and hearing, the battles, the struggles, the things where you prevail and the things that fail and then you prevail again, and what it really takes to get there. What did you learn from making those masks? Can you...
that I never want to do door-to-door sales. And even if you know people, they will get potentially annoyed with you if you show up and do that. That was the problem in the first lessons. And secondly, I learned that there was a neighborhood man who was building a sailboat in his yard, and his name was Fisher, which is my first son's name.
Oh, wow.
And I actually took his name from... meeting that man because his sailboat and us neighborhood kids were kind of fascinated. So we'd go over and bug him all the time. So I learned about him. And
I'll bet that he actually liked it quite a bit. You guys came over.
He did. Yeah.
I would too. That would be fun.
He enjoyed answering all our questions.
10,000 questions.
10,000.
What's this? What's that? Yeah, I love kids like that. So, all right. So now, what was your second job?
My second job was actually in a deli and slicing meats and making sandwiches in a summer kind of town. And I did that in Nantucket. And kind of making blueberry muffins at the Siasconset market, things like that. Just summer job, and also helping kind of nanny for my cousins, I guess,
cool.
at that point in time.
So there's a ton of skill sets there. You had customer relations while making sandwiches. You dealt with good people and probably not so good people. People that are hard to deal with. They're having a bad day or whatever, and now their sandwich is wrong, and it just took them over the top. I can understand that. That's probably something you use today, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Actually, one of the things that I take with me today, too, is my stepdad was a pretty amazing individual, and he was always really positive. He struggled with some health issues and some mental health issues, but also was just always very outgoing and very conscious of what other people were dealing with or could be every day. So he really impressed upon me that it's very important to always be kind. And he would go out of his way to, like he would see a lady and he wouldn't just say, if he didn't know her name, he'd call her nice lady. Hey, nice lady, how are you? He was just always very, very warm and outgoing to people he didn't even know, strangers. And that really has always stuck with me. It's very important to me to be kind in relationships and how you make people feel.
I agree with that, and especially in photography, it's a personal business. When it comes to portraiture, we do school portraits, and every child, I don't know all their names. Sometimes it's 550 kids in a day. Now, my staff has checked them in. They know their name, but the room is loud. You're in a gym. There's kids everywhere. I don't know the child's name. So I always say, hey, handsome, come on in. Hey, pretty, come on in. But I always compliment them. Always, just so that they feel good about themselves. I only have them for maybe 3 minutes.
Building them up, yeah.
And so I thought, what can I do good in these 3 minutes to help each one of these kids? So, and of course, the rubber chicken to make them all laugh is what makes it the most fun. So the belly laughs from the preschoolers are crazy. Well, let's get into your education a little bit. So you talked about it, and feel free to interject anytime. I kind of ramble a little, so if you want to jump in, please do. How extensive is the education for acupuncture? Let people know what's really involved in it.
Well, in the U.S., actually, a lot of people are surprised by the numbers. The typical acupuncture physician training is not only undergraduate education, so it's like 2 to 4 years of college prior, and it varies by program requirements. So it depends on what program you're actually going into. So for, there's often like 60 to 120 undergraduate credit hours before you even get into the program to build up.
Wow.
And then you go for your graduate program. So that's 3 to 4 years of full-time school. And it's approximately, 4,000 hours of education and training right there. And a lot of people also don't realize that our coursework is so thorough. It's, Western pathology, pharmacology, biomedical sciences, anatomy, thorough anatomy, not just that, but then acupuncture theory and all the Chinese herbal medicine, which is thoroughly covered through the program as well, differential diagnosis and integrative medicine. So we learn orthopedics, all kinds of skills. And we're typically also after that, about 1,200 clinical supervised hours before we even go to then be approved to take our board exams, which there's actually 4 medical board exams that we have to pass in order to be licensed in practice in most states. So in most states, the National Certification Commission for Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine has these exams set up, but some states don't make their practitioners do that. In the state of Florida, we have actually the highest standards in the country to become an acupuncture physician, and we're considered primary care providers here in the state because of that. We can actually help people being their primary care, keeping them well. And then, we are able to order labs, do injection, order imaging, and then refer out as necessary. So.
Okay. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
That they can come to you for primary care. What would you say? You say integrative health, and this isn't a question on my list, but there's a lot of doctors that might be skeptical at some point. what would you say to them? How can you integrate what you do to help this patient reach a positive goal alongside what this doctor's doing? Somebody has a life-threatening disease, they're battling it, and you're going to come in and help. How would you tell that doctor that you're on their side? Because they might be skeptical, not just the patient.
Well, I do this every day, actually, Rob, so I
Okay.
can give you a number of examples, and it would really depend on the patient. So I'll give you an example that's probably more serious and very difficult to get practitioners on board is oncology. I have cancer patients that I'm working with, and I have cancer patients that are still in treatment. They're terminal, and they're, receiving regular infusion. But part of what I do there is help build them back up. And being knowledgeable about what herbs I cannot use for them that could, affect them negatively while I'm building them back up is very, very important. And expressing that knowledge to an oncologist is very key. If I can speak his Western medical language, that is the biggest divide I've found, actually, is if as an acupuncturist I come in and I'm representing myself like peace, love, and energy medicine, which is a part of what I do, right? And we are looking at a holistic person, and I try to bring everybody back into balance, and so it's a part of it. But being able to speak that language as well is really important, to letting that physician know I have your patient's best interest at heart. So I'm going to communicate to you what I'm doing. I'm going to list off all of the potential, chemicals that could react with what you're doing, and just reaching out and communicating. And I think that's a big part of that communication, getting faith from their practitioner.
So I would imagine after working with one doctor under this scenario, they've built a faith in what you're doing and they see results, and you guys get to communicate back and forth during the whole treatment for this patient.
I actually now have nephrologists, I have neurologists, I have fertility specialists and OBs who refer to me, as well as an oncologist. So once you start treating patients with success and really communicating with them, they see it and they want the best for their patients as well.
I've had a few doctors on the podcast as well as nutritionists, so it seems like a good point. How can they find you? Give them your website.
Oh, okay. It's brockintegrativehealth.com.
Perfect. And if there's a doctor that's listening, you would take a minute and maybe do kind of a one-on-one with them, meet them at their office or vice versa, have a coffee, and really see how you can help them with every one of their clients.
Absolutely. And I'm passionate about educating people as well about what I do. Like the breadth of what I do, some people don't understand. So
Okay. I love that. I think that's a way to go, and hopefully somebody's listening. We need to do an introduction to Dr. Robinson at Robinson MD. She was on the podcast, and integrative medicine, functional medicine, all of that. And she is expert, in my opinion, but she needs to know you.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, we keep talking about that and haven't done that yet. So let's go into this a little bit. What happens physiologically in the body when someone's receiving acupuncture? Because, I skipped this question because you already went into it. And, a lot of people say it's snake oil, but it's not. And I know that. So what's actually happening in the body?
Well, one of the first things that I love to educate people on, and how it works, and I'll give you just kind of a breakdown and then go further in. But the first thing is nervous system regulation. When people ask me how acupuncture works, the channels and meridians that are mapped out are actually very closely related to motor lines and orthopedic lines in the body.
Okay.
And when you trace this, it actually ties it very closely, So one of my fascinations was actually learning the connections between Western and Chinese medicine. So nervous system regulation, but then also blood flow improvement. When you're having acupuncture, you are having an increase in circulation to the area. So it's bringing actually new oxygen-rich, nutrient-rich blood to the area. Endorphin release is a huge one as well. Chemically, they've mapped out and signaled some of the endorphin release that happens when you receive acupuncture. And it also just helps restore what we call homeostasis, or normal function in the body. So every needle we place is actually creating a signal that's traveling through the nervous system. And it helps shift that body from a fight or flight, right? Where the nervous system is in that reactive state to more of our rest and digest state, which is where we want to be.
All the time. Well, touch on this because you mentioned the word needle. Some people, that panics them. They've never been. I've done it, and I can tell you it doesn't hurt. At the most, in maybe a tender area, there might be a pinch, but it's not painful like a shot or something like that. Talk about that and how it enters the skin, and it's not, it's not scary. It's scary if you've never done it, but once you have, you go, oh, what was I worried about?
I actually have kids who come into the office, and, so I really, consent is a huge thing for me, and I try to teach them a lot, and I show them. So the first thing I show them is actually acupuncture needles are tinier than a human hair. They're very, very small. So when people think about needles, they're thinking, injection type needles usually. And that's just not what we're working with at all. These are very, very tiny. So what you might feel when you get acupuncture is a sensation of even electricity, because keeping in mind, we're working with the nervous system. So some people describe that like you'll get a little, you said shock, right? It's a little electric kind of sensation, but then it goes away instantly. And that's actually desired. It's part of the nociceptive reset of that pain function as well.
Wow.
That works so well. So you're actually sending a signal to your nervous system when you activate that. But it is very painless. And one of the things I really pride myself on, and I tell every patient that comes into my treatment space, we do not leave uncomfortable needles. If something is bothering you, even to the extent of you're like, I just feel it, it's itching or something, I remove it. It's the body telling me that, we don't want that there. But I have never had any patient who agreed to acupuncture on my table say anything other than, wow, the needle's in? I didn't even feel that. That's most of what I get. Or, wow, that's better than I thought it was going to be.
And I'm glad you demystified that, because I think that could be a roadblock for many.
A lot of people, yeah.
Because they're not knowledgeable on what it takes. It's painless. And even removing them is painless.
It really is.
Nothing to it. So, but yet it does what it does. And how old is acupuncture? It's been around a long time.
It's thousands of years old, actually. I think, the man that they found with the oldest meridian lines tattooed, I think they've dated it 5,000 years. And
wow.
So, yeah, it's thousands of years old. And the Chinese herbal medicine and pattern diagnosis is thousands of years old as well. It's amazing.
And it's only been refined.
Yes.
As time moves on, and knowledge and the ability for tests to see changes and all that. I love that.
Yeah, the research actually behind showing the efficacy on acupuncture for a variety of conditions, and herbal medicine for that matter, is phenomenal. As the science behind it grows, people are really understanding how it can really change lives. And in China, the development, it's completely different than medicine here. Not that I'm advocating for us to be China, but when you walk into a Chinese hospital, on the first floor, you walk in, and on the left-hand side, there's an herbal pharmacy with wooden drawers and paper, raw herbs, granules, all kinds of things. And then you look to the right, and there's the Western pharmaceutical style where it's, everybody's in white and it's pristine pharmacy. But they have upstairs acupuncture, moxibustion, Tui Na, and the same hospital where they're doing surgeries, and they have all their MDs. They work, cohesively there. So the way of looking at it is that this is preventative and holistic medicine. So that's the way I look at it as well.
I think we should too. Let's see if we can't rally for that here.
I love it.
That would be a good change. So, just in brief, give us a list of why someone would come see you. What are they experiencing? No names, but, sports injuries, whatever, digestive, all of that. Kind of give us a list. So if someone's listening and they're having problems, and maybe the meds they're on or the side effects are huge, maybe they can come to you and change that.
Yeah. I treat a lot of traumatic brain injury. I have a lot of veteran patients. I treat stroke very regularly.
Wow.
Bell's palsy, neuropathy, a lot of nervous system related conditions. I treat MCAS and POTS, fibromyalgia, very chronic pain conditions regularly would come to my office, digestive issues, including digestive issues. While the peptides are in my scope of practice, I choose to help people with the side effects they're facing if they choose to go that route, rather than treating them with peptides in my office. So I treat a lot of that and digestive dysbiosis, gut dysbiosis, and really stress, PTSD.
Wow.
Just imbalances. I have also helped with my husband get people off of dialysis and help improve kidney function.
That's huge. Both of those are huge.
Huge.
It's all huge, but that's a big thing.
It's a pretty big one. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things that my husband and I have been able to do. So. Neuropathy is a huge sports injuries. Those definitely are a huge part of my practice as well.
And I have in my notes, and I probably from your website, but women's health.
Yeah, so I was actually just going to say I also missed that I have a lot of fertility cases, and I love helping women get through their pregnancies. Cool. I have a 100% success rate turning breech babies, which is kind of an interesting thing that not a lot of people know that Chinese medicine can do really well. So I'm proud of that, actually.
Okay. And what about later in life, past baby stage? The whole hormone changes.
Menopause is a huge one, yes, and all of the side effects that come with it. So, yeah, I absolutely do that. Now, I don't do HRT in my office.
Okay.
I cannot prescribe Western medicine as what I do, but we do supplementation in Chinese herbs and help people get back on track. Chinese medicine is hugely successful at helping with the symptoms of night sweats and hot flashes, all of the things that can make us really miserable when we start hitting that point.
Very familiar with all of it because I'm married.
You've got your air conditioning really cold,
yes.
I'm sure. Yes.
My bald head is frozen and she's over there. It's hot. And I'm like, no. I love that. All right. So walk us through a couple of things. What does a client expect, a patient would expect when they come to you? What's the typical first appointment like? Does it hurt? We already mentioned that. But tell us when they walk in, they have an ailment. What are they going to see? What do you do with them the first time?
Well, it actually depends. I have patients come to me in a multitude of ways. If they really are in just chronic pain, then they're likely coming to me for a visit for either acupuncture or gua sha, or medical body work. And that is a different type of appointment for me. But I do also treat a lot of internal medicine. And with that, I actually treat people over state lines as well. I use that as more health coaching and giving kind of advice and helping people with Chinese herbs and getting them back on track with functional medicine. So when I'm seeing those type of patients, or when they're coming to me more for internal medicine, they would be coming for a visit where they would provide me with all kinds of data first, blood work, intake of what they're dealing with.
So it's a consultation.
Consultation, yeah. And usually I spend an hour or more really diving in with that person after, reviewing everything ahead of time. And I will then give them a treatment plan based on that. But if they're coming in for chronic pain, then they would be coming in for, let's get you out of that pain as quickly as we can. And usually that is a set of treatments. I will usually prescribe a treatment plan at that point as well.
And this is a loaded question because I'm sure it's different per patient. Mm-hmm. But how many treatments does someone usually need? And that's a variable. Simple, I have ankle pain. I don't mind sharing that. I hurt my ankle 45 years ago. I wrap it every day ever since. Mm-hmm. And it's painful. But if I was to come in and have before to reduce the pain and kind of, I've never gotten rid of it, but I've been able to find relief in what's going on in there. So how many treatments would somebody like that need to come in?
I usually would ask that someone give me the opportunity to see them one time a week for 4 weeks. And I may, in that visit, mix medical body work and acupuncture together.
Okay.
And at that point, what I ask that individual to is that we will assess as we go. And that if that fourth visit, we've made some really good headway, wonderful. let's go forward, right?
Let's move on.
But if we've hit that fourth visit and I have, let's say, made things better, but not as much as we'd hope, I might prescribe for them to come and see me for maintenance, right? And that's then more chronic. It might be something that we can't make change with, but I can help keep you out of pain. But on the level that I haven't made any difference for that individual, I would just be honest and say, I don't think this is something I can help with. That is I will say, rarity, but it's just something that I am honest. If I haven't made any change in 4 visits, then I likely can't help.
I would imagine that there's a referral in that case.
Always.
And you send them where they can still
always
move forward with the process.
And even if I am unable to help, let's say, I've also given them some tools, right? So part of being in my office is education. I'm really passionate about teaching people about not only all of the herbs in Chinese medicine. One of my favorite topical herbs, which I know you've heard me talk about, is evil bone water, Zheng Xie Gu Shui, which is actually clears evil from the bones water, it translates to.
Wow.
So a lot of people think it's nefarious because of the name, but I explain it's actually the evils in Chinese medicine are the negative things that can affect the body, like too much phlegm, too much heat, too much cold, too much damp, too much pain even.
Right.
G stagnation.
I use that product from you on my ankle all the time. And I find great relief from it, anti-inflammation and the whole thing. It's a little cool and crispy when you put it on, but when it's done doing what it does, it's absolutely incredible. And the warm part of it doesn't last that long. 15 minutes at the most, maybe 20, I don't know, something like that.
So by giving people those tools, and I have herbal patches, I have a variety of things. So I like to give people exercise physiology techniques, different stretches, different nerve flossing techniques, things that I know are very targeted to help keep them and give them the tools to keep themselves, going.
I love that.
Moorman Photographics, where every click captures the essence of life's most precious moments. Our studio stands as a beacon of creativity and professionalism, offering a myriad of services tailored to your every photographic need. Whether you seek a studio portrait or the allure of on-location sessions in the Tampa and St. Petersburg waterfronts or lush parks, we bring your vision to life with creativity and professionalism. Corporate headshots, we excel at those too, providing impeccable quality whether in the studio or at your corporate headquarters. Need portraits for a large team or event? We orchestrate seamless setups for groups or individuals. But our expertise doesn't stop there. From high-end school portraits to photo restoration, from pet portraits to product images, our portfolio spans the spectrum of photographic artistry. Led by professionals with degrees in both photography and fine art, our team is dedicated to exceeding your expectations with every frame. Step into our studio where creativity knows no bounds. Contact us to book your session today at moormanphoto.com.
Gosh, there's so many different concerns. Safety. It's pretty safe, I would imagine, because of your knowledge.
Very. I do want to actually take this opportunity to talk a little bit about dry needling and some of the things I think a lot of people aren't aware of. I love PTs. They have a massive education, and I do not push back at all on dry needling. Dry needling is essentially orthopedic acupuncture or trigger point acupuncture, which is also thousands of years old. And I do think that it's being a little bit appropriated by PT. Okay. Which, of course, gua sha is actually become Graston. There's all kinds of techniques that mesh, and I don't actually have an issue with that at all. But I do want to talk to people a little bit about the training level differences. PTs actually have a weekend 100-hour course to do dry needling. Wow. And so if you're seeking out this technique of dry needling, it is acupuncture. And I would highly recommend that you seek someone with the thousands of hours of training and didactics and clinical training, because there is a big difference. I'm not sure if you saw the story of late, and there's becoming more of these where the Super Bowl, the pneumothorax. So these are just training. Training is incredibly important.
So PTs have a great place in the world. But for that particular modality, it's probably better to go with you because of all the hours of time and training and experience you would have over and above a weekend course.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're not dissing them, but
Not at all. Not at all.
that one particular modality might be better. Can you do this? Let's share a few memorable patient transformations. Of course, not their names, but, success stories.
I'll share one that comes to mind right away. Bell's palsy can just be devastating. As an individual, when you wake up and you look in the mirror and you see that half of your face is not engaging and, in fact, sloping down, it takes away part of your identity when you're not able to make facial expressions on one side. So it can be really scary, and there can be a viral component, there can be a stress component, all of which I treat very well. So I have a huge protocol for Bell's palsy, which involves what we call e-stimulation. And e-stim is actually where we use DC current on clips that are attached to the needles, and it provides a very mild pulsing sensation, and it really is wonderful for resetting and reawakening nerves. And so thousands of years experience has shown us that the sooner you get into my office with Bell's palsy, the sooner I can get you out of it. Wow. I have a protocol where I see people once a week for 5 weeks, and I also put them on internal herbs depending on what's going on.
Okay.
So it's not just that's the also beautiful thing about Chinese medicine is that it's very personalized and individualized. It's pattern diagnosis. So when I'm looking at you as a person, you may have an herbal formula that's completely different from someone with the same diagnosis in Western because you're a different person.
So you treat the individual, first of all. I hear you saying
yes.
that in and amongst this. I love that.
Yeah. So after 5 weeks, I have a patient, and this is not an unusual case for me. It's one of my favorite things to treat. She could smile again. Everything was back online, and her face looked normal, which is just, to me, it's amazing. One of my other favorite things to treat is when people have neuropathy or diabetes, sometimes they'll develop peripheral neuropathy in their legs. But over time, the lack of circulation and lack of nerve conduction can lead to death of tissue. And the legs will actually turn dark purple or dark red, or you can see that the tissue is not getting enough blood flow. You'll even see some black. Sometimes there'll be edema where the fluid is not flowing out, and so the blisters will actually form. So the wounds then won't heal because there's no circulation. Right. So it's a really troubling thing. And I've actually had a patient, one of my biggest success stories was a patient who was actually about to go for amputation. And when he came to me, his legs were both dark purple and black. Wow. So we put him on e-stimulation with acupuncture. I had him do internal herbs and external foot soaks very regularly. He was in my office twice a week at first. But his legs are now normal coloration and the wounds are healing. He has less edema. He's also lost weight. So he avoided amputation. And to me, that's pretty amazing.
If that's not a success story, I don't know what is. I couldn't have shared a better one. That's incredible. I can't mention names, but I have a friend, older person that I've known since I was 12 who has that. She lives very far away. I wish I could get her down here and get her in because I know that her legs are turning colors.
There's actually things that I can still do to help. And this is something that I am working on, is formulating a set of programs. My husband and I are both working on quite a few things in the background.
Awesome.
But one of the programs is for exactly that, where I can help people via telehealth with herbs and teach them some of the techniques that I'm using, and then even send them to a local acupuncturist where they can seek help.
Okay. Maybe I'll bring that up. Hopefully she'll do that.
Amazing.
The age that she's at, everything is, well, it's up to my doctor, and they don't ever look at anything else. But yet I don't see what the doctor's doing helping very much. Mm-hmm. And so it breaks my heart to see that. Let's move into herbs because we kind of already have. How is it different taking all these herbs than supplements off of the shelf?
Well, some of the biggest things about the herbs is that they're not supplements, but a lot of the herbs have some of the substances you might recognize from supplementation, like berberine. One of my best formulas that I use is MicroGuard Plus when we have gut dysbiosis, because there's a gut-brain axis that a lot of people don't realize. When your gut is having dysfunction, it affects everything else. You could have high cholesterol. You could have all kinds of other issues. So berberine is one of the really high supplementation amounts in some of my herbal formulas and single herbs. So while it's not supplements, it's all personalized. Like I was talking to you about before, Chinese medicine diagnosis is very pattern-based. So I'll look at the individual and I'll ask them about all the different symptoms they're experiencing. And that may fall into a combination of patterns that I'm diagnosing in Chinese medicine. And then I'll pull different herbs, and I may have to even customize a formula. There are standard formulas, but let's say I've got a pregnancy patient and I want to put her on one of the most popular formulas in Chinese medicine called Xiaoyaosan. Then I actually would have to modify. There's a lot of formulas that might be somewhat appropriate for a patient, like a cancer patient would be another one I would have to modify for, because I don't want to be giving that patient any blood movers.
Right.
So it's very personalized and pattern-based diagnosis. And so that's the biggest difference to me, is that you're treating the individual on a level that you cannot do with any other form of medicine. And where you look at Western herbalism, it's very often single herbs, right?
Right.
And that's how I learned it, even with my mom. Oh, I want you to be, calming down, have some chamomile tea, or, oh, you've got a little bit of a cold and your nose is runny, and let's kind of try to dry this up before it gets bad. Have some echinacea, things like that. That's how we practice. But in Chinese medicine, the herbs are one main herb that's treating the main, pattern, right? But then that herb is assisted. Let's say I'm treating something like Lyme disease, then that herb might be slightly toxic. So I then have another herb to help the body and have that herb not be toxic. Very often that's shengzhang, which is ginger.
Okay. I love ginger, by the way.
Ginger is amazing.
Yeah.
You should use ginger every day, unless you have too much heat. But then there'll be another herb to guide it to the area of the body that we're trying to treat. And then there's another herb to transform it. So whatever we're trying to push out of the body, then it's pushing it out and it's turning it into urine so that you can push out. So it's very graceful medicine. And it's a formula built for an individual based on their pattern.
Fascinating. All of that is fascinating, and so much knowledge. I'm a vitamin nut. Sometime in the 90s, I found this used book called The Vitamin Bible. You've probably seen it.
I have, yes.
And I read it from cover to cover. I couldn't put it down. And it's really kind of boring because it was just, so I've been an advocate for vitamins, but I also now with my doctor, she's doing it in a different way than what we see in America, where you go to the health food store, buy a bottle off of it, like you said, echinacea or whatever, which I found results with head colds and things.
Same.
But at the same token, it needed other things with it, and how long do you take it, and what are you taking it with to make it absorb better? And I didn't know any of that. I was just popping vitamins for quite a long time. So that's just nuts. So, all right, listen, also with herbal medicine, is there any, and I think you've mentioned this, so I'll just touch on it a little bit, safety concerns. Is there anybody out there that fears they might have an allergic reaction or an interaction with a med? How do you, first of all, provide comfort for them, and how are you going to assess them so that you know not to mix things?
That is a huge part of my intake process. And so, of course, also my training and knowledge. So I have to study herb interactions and pharmacology, and that is a huge part of our education and our board exams as well, knowing what I cannot treat a patient with, like I was just saying with cancer, or when I have patient on blood thinners. there are definitely things that I cannot give to that patient. So just having that knowledge is really important. But then conveying that to the patient safety-wise, like I'm aware and that you're on this, and nothing that we are going to have you taking is going to interfere. Please feel free to tell your doctor what I'm prescribing for you before we begin, and see if they have any concerns. I will even send them with an info sheet on something.
I was going to ask that, because a lot of the doctors don't know your world.
They don't know my world, so I have to educate. And so that's really a huge part of it. And also, I will say that not only that, but quality is hugely important. I am incredibly careful about what I bring into my office. Nothing that I bring into my office has not been lab tested. I'm very, very particular about the brands that I carry, because I don't want I'm treating veterans who sometimes have lead toxicity, or people who have MCAS, which is very much a histamine response that's happening in the body. So I have to be really careful, not only with my knowledge, but also what I'm teaching my patients about, and the quality and dose is also very important.
I'm glad we're sitting here, because in a 30-second commercial in our networking group, nobody knows all of this.
Right.
So hopefully this podcast will help convey that, because a lot of our members will be listening, I'm sure. So that's a big thing. What is it that a Western doctor misunderstands most about what you do? How can we debunk that for them?
I think the biggest thing that a Western doctor might think, if they're even on board with considering acupuncture, the biggest misconception is that it's only for pain or stress. And I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that I want to get out there, is that there is so much more this medicine can do to keep your family healthy. And part of what I'm really passionate about when I'm treating families is that too, just teaching them, here's some herbal formulas you can just have in your medicine cabinet. If your family's starting to get a cold or a sore throat, or the things that go around, I'll have them write in a fine tip Sharpie, like, these are the symptoms that you're looking for, But that's the biggest misconception to me, because I really would like to see, like I said, with the Chinese system, our system's working more hand in hand, because I feel like there's so much that I can do to help their patient success.
Okay. So you're really on their team. You're not working against them. And I think it would be important for them to know that you both have the same interest in making this person healthy again and getting them back to a normal lifestyle. And so tell me one final thing. Minimal side effects, I would imagine, with herbal medicine? I don't know.
Actually, herbal medicine is incredibly safe and very little side effects. One of my favorite terminology things I say is really food is medicine. And these herbs are food in a lot of circumstance. These would be things that you might be eating regularly, even in China. Wow. But we just don't see in our, jujubes, goji berries, things like that. Yeah. We don't eat those here in America, although I think that there's some fads on TikTok that are changing that, which is great. It's wonderful. So. I love that. But I do feel like it's a good thing.
And it seems like our government is pushing more towards making our food healthier at the moment. And so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not political. I just like the direction that that's going in. Does that make sense?
Agree, yeah.
I'm excited, and I hope that it moves forward with lightning speed in a safe way, but really begin to make changes in the community. That's a big thing. Let's see, where are we here? Let me look at my notes. What do holistic practitioners sometimes misunderstand about traditional medicine? So let's flip that.
Well, I think that traditional medicine is very, very important. And, holistic practitioners, I think, sometimes lack an understanding of the testing, right? And I think that's the difference that I really embrace. I love the fact that I know and understand labs and the testing, because if you can really get to the bottom of, I don't like the term root cause, because to me, there's really never one root. Chinese is called root branch medicine, and there may be not just one root. There may be multiple roots, So I'm always trying to convey that there's multiple ways we can get to the basis of a problem, but testing is a huge benefit. So just looking at those aspects and learning a little bit more about how traditional medicine is really helpful and how we can use that to integrate the holistic, pathway.
Perfect. Well, unfortunately, I'm always thinking of time. Although we have more time, I'm going to jump a few questions down. If someone wanted to improve their health this week, where should they start?
Well, I think the biggest things that you can do are to prioritize your sleep. If you were to do one thing today that would change how you are health-wise, it's to drink more water and go for a walk after you eat a meal.
I love that. Okay. I would always say the one thing that we can do as everyday people walking around is what we eat, how we move our bodies, and get enough sleep and drink enough water.
It's very true.
I fail on the sleep. I know my doctor's listening, and I fail on the water part. But I do pretty good with the food thing these days and all of that. So that part is good. And I walk 10,000 steps a day, 6 days a week.
That's terrific. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, I think, that the simple things are so important. And I've actually had patients that I've worked with sometimes for 6 weeks. And they're like, at the end of that 6-week period, they'll be like, so I, tried that thing you were telling me to do and haven't done this whole time. I was just telling you I was doing it. Oh my gosh, it actually works. It just sounded like it was too simple, so I didn't try it. Yeah. And the simple things are very, very important.
I think that they stack up as you do them, and it becomes habit. Right now in Florida, it's like 110 degrees outside, so you have to walk in the morning, walk in the evening.
Walk in the mall.
And walk in the mall, yeah. And I have done that when it's really cold, because I do not like cold weather, being a native Floridian. But also I find listening to something while I do my steps. I'm not running, I'm not jogging, I'm walking at a high pace. I have these over-the-ear headphones. They're bone conducting, so you don't get run over by a car at the same time, so you can hear the world around you. And, of course, I listen to the Camera Dude podcast.
All right.
So sometimes I do, but I also listen to numerous other podcasts, and I love music. And so for me, that walking time is me time. And I hadn't had that in years, running 3 businesses, and all of that. The me time vanished. So my 1.5 to 2 hours of walking is me, and I shut out the rest of the world. I don't answer the phone unless it's on fire. I don't want to know about it. I'm walking. Yeah. I call it stepping. I'm going stepping. See ya.
I think it's great.
Something I made up. And I don't even, sometimes I'm so busy, I don't even change clothes. Everybody puts on their workout clothes. If I'm dressed for work or whatever, unless I have my suit on for an event, I just go. I just go because I don't want to make a big production out of it, because I won't do it. Everything's a blockade, and I got to change clothes and then change back and forget it. I just start walking, and then when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do.
I love that. And listening to music, kicking in some of the joy and getting yourself some good endorphins for the day. Those things are really important. Yeah.
I like a couple of bands that I follow. One of them is Stryper, believe it or not, which is this Christian hard rock band. But that keeps me, they've been around since the 80s. They're our age, my age anyways. And anyhow, they keeps me moving because of the tempo and the rhythm, but it's a positive message.
Love it.
Yeah, so I'm doing both at the same time. Or podcasts, so that works out. Let's talk about business. So I've always said starting any business is challenging. Moorman Photographics took 8 years to get off the ground. We're now in our 30th year, and the battles never finish. You just get better at fighting and putting out fires is basically what it really is. And then Sunburst RV, I inherited. It was already 40 years in business. I've had it 12 now. So, it should have a birthday coming up pretty soon now that I think about it. But it's a whole nother world, taking a business, changing it, making it modern, than it is starting from scratch, where you're starting with all the modern things. It's very complicated to get staff to change the way we do our bookings and do all of that, but it was needed. We were going to go out if we didn't do that. So tell me about yours. What's it like building your practice? What's the energy that you've had to put into it?
Oh gosh, it's been really amazing. Truly, I learned a lot about being self-employed from my parents. I've been self-employed most of my working history, and I think it takes a certain amount of cajones. Really.
Is that Chinese medicine word?
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm from Texas. Sorry, Tejas. We use some of those terms. So
It's
yeah,
all
you
good.
you have to have some, gusto, some bravery, to be able to chutzpah. Yeah, exactly. To be able to do it. But I will say that it's so rewarding. I've never looked back. Having a good plan is hugely important. I started actually mobile concierge because I didn't want to pay for space, and I already had patients that I was seeing right out of school. Actually, I started seeing people mobily. And actually, I had already been in school seeing some people for medical body work still. So that was very beneficial. But when I stepped out, just doing that to build, and then as I met more and more people, they really wanted me to have a space. And I started realizing that I couldn't see as many patients as I wanted to until I did that. So I grew into.
Yeah.
And as I grew into that space, I've gotten more rooms and more treatment rooms. And so I'm still growing. Right now, my husband and I are actually developing a website in the background to help other practitioners and patients with their treatment flow. We've also developed a line of botanical skin treatment, which has also been helpful in neuropathy and some other conditions. But Shuhong Botanicals, which has been very, very lovely and successful so far.
So tell us a little bit about it. What is that?
So Shuhong Botanicals was actually developed mostly by my husband, and he actually deals with psoriasis, which can be really awful for him. He'll wake up and it's, he's done a lot of the control methods that, he tries with diet, but there's other triggers, and underlying stress is one of them. So you can't always control those things.
Right.
So when he has a flare up, really Western will tell you to take Doxy, which is, suppressing your immune system consistently. And he's not willing to do that. So he was looking for a way to help people with skin conditions that could, maintain and manage and quickly. So if he wakes up with an outbreak and his are on his face. So if he's got a day seeing patients, it's really tough. You don't want to, it's affecting his self-confidence. Exactly. So this was really born out of that, a way and a system to manage skin conditions. And one of our sprays, Fire, has become more also beneficial in neuroinflammation. So it's helpful for some painful conditions, neuropathy. I've even had a tick bite that we treated with it.
Wow.
Cervical pruritus, actually, and where the skin is kind of getting tough and leathery and is burning and itching and consistently due to neuroinflammation. So we've had some really amazing successes, and I'm currently trying to treat a case of shingles. So we'll see how that goes.
I was just going to ask, shingles?
Yes.
Which I have had.
I don't know yet, but Evil Bone Water is amazing for shingles, and, and I do treat shingles regularly.
Okay. Good to know, because I have had that in the past, and it's not that fun. I can say that.
It's painful.
I was under a ton of stress when it happened, and that's where it came from. So I would imagine that's where it's triggered. Yeah. So that's interesting. All right. Was there a moment when you knew the business was going to make it? I know you're growing. Actually, let me back up. How do you attract your first patients? For a new entrepreneur, whether they're in medicine or they're opening a photo studio or whatever, what are you doing to attract new patients?
No one is just going to come and find you, right? You can build your social media, you can build your website, and all those things are wonderful, but no one's just going to come find you when you're first starting out.
Agreed.
You have to go find people. And that could be meeting people at a gym. That could be meeting people at a networking group. You have to put yourself out there. You're not going to meet the people that you need to be helping unless you put yourself in the room with them. Who needs help? Everybody in every room, So literally just putting yourself out there, and you'll find the people who are looking for you.
That is the premise of this whole podcast. So we could close now. That was pretty awesome. We won't, but that's... Wow. Because you're right. I learned as a photographer, you can hang up a shingle, as they say, outside and build a beautiful studio. But if they don't know you and know who you are, they're not coming in. They're just not. You have to be where they are. And everybody needs our services. They need yours for sure. And I find if they own a business, they need product photography, they need interiors of their place, headshots of everybody, and or a lot of social media work is being done now as well. And we're there to help them, not because they can't do it themselves, because they don't have time.
Yeah.
So we take the time, we handle it, we edit it, and we get it out for them so that once it's photographed and it's done, they can go on about doing what they do for a living, knowing their product's coming in a day or so and it's finished.
Yeah.
And so it takes it off their plate. But everybody needs that. And so networking is key. I think we're year and a half in on this podcast, and the number one common thread for successful business owners is networking. Getting out and letting people know who you are. I remember when I first started, I wore a shirt with Moorman photographics on it. I had business cards in my pocket, even if I was just going to the movies. You're standing in line. My last name was kind of weird. People asked me about it, and I'd hand out business cards like crazy. I would show up at businesses. I wasn't cold calling. I would just show up to say hi. Hey, give me a tour of your place. I was networking. How can we help you? And a lot of times if they were going through something, I'd show up and help them. Oh, you're having a big event tomorrow? What do you need? Mm-hmm. Oh, I have folding chairs. Well, who are they going to hire after I bring all those folding chairs in because they needed 20 more chairs or whatever it was?
Yeah.
I'm their photographer at that point. I don't do it for that reason. I really do it to help. And in turn, it just happens that that's who they're going to call because that's who they remember.
Oh, that's such a great, idea and thought process. For me, I love fishing and, it's not just networking groups. It's like putting yourself in the room with the people who you speak to, right? Or who speak to you in a way. And those conversations kind of come naturally, and then you can just introduce what you do.
I'll share this. This is about you, not me, but I want to share how my first networking experience, I became a volunteer at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa. I'm a scuba diver. I love everything about water and all of that. And initially we were diving in the tanks, cleaning the glass on the water side and waving at the little kids as they're watching the fish and all that. And then I started being more of a docent, pushing this cart with shells and talking about the shells to the kids. Well, as soon as the aquarium found out I was a photographer, all of a sudden I was doing all their marketing work as a volunteer. But in return, they hold weddings there. And the gentleman that was in charge of the weddings would put my wedding brochure in their pocket folders. I probably did over 100 weddings there because I showed up and networked. And then, of course, back then, websites were relatively new. And so anything that they needed for websites, brochures, print work, trade show banners or whatever was photographed by us. I'm going back a ways because it was usually slide film instead of the digital that we have been using for many years now, but it's still fascinating. So networking is key, and that's where I built my business.
Yeah.
Was doing that, and the Florida Aquarium was integral. I kind of miss it there.
Yeah,
I would like to go back and volunteer. I ran out of time. Got successful because they helped me launch, and that was a big deal. Marketing and growth. What marketing strategies, other than networking, because we've talked about it, work best for you?
Truly, I have built a presence on every platform that I can think of, to try to just be out there. So when people look for you, they can find you. Making sure that they can see where you are is a part of that as well. And I'm still working on that and getting better every day. But word of mouth, honestly, has been my biggest. I don't do Google advertising. I don't do paid advertisements, or at least I haven't had to yet. There may come a point where I'm starting to scale some other things for the Shuhong Botanicals side of the business that I find that to be necessary. But for now, with me, it's been word of mouth is the biggest. How you make people feel and your success rates bring others.
I love it. Word of mouth is key. I find that the social media backs up, or any online Google ads, all of that. And now they say that you need to optimize yourself differently online so that you're in the AI search engine. So someone goes into chat and says, I'm looking for a herbalist acupuncturist in the Tampa Bay area. You have to have the things on your website, because I did that for myself just to see. And then I went into chat and said, hey, how come you didn't pick me? And it goes, oh, you don't have anything on there that would make us select. I had a great website. Mm-hmm. So we redid the website, and now I'm in the game.
I did the same. And actually, you can ask Chat or Claude, to give you the top hits, and then why were you not in the top hits? And then actually, it did have me for some, but it taught me a lot about what I wasn't even putting out there, So great tools.
Personal growth is never ending. I love that. All right, let's go on a personal side a minute. How do you avoid burnout?
For me, balance is something that I preach to my patients. So if I didn't do it myself, I wouldn't be great at, what I do. And I work really hard. So for me, the balance part is pretty important. I have to make sure that I have time with my family and me time as well. So I try to not book myself for too many hours. It's like, yes, I could work 5 days a week. I could work 7.
I could too.
But I choose not to. And I choose to make time with my family and go fishing, spend time in nature is really important. Grounding is really important to me. Exercise and just making sure I have time outside of, and that I've closed the business from what I'm doing, because as a self-employed person, it is really difficult to separate, because sometimes there's tasks outside of that day to day. There's operations, there's admin, there's all the things that you have to do as a business owner to keep that business running. So my goal is to have treatment time, admin time, and then family time very separated. And I don't do phone calls and things like that on the weekend. I just really guard that personal time.
Very smart of you. I had a lady on, Lindsay Vastola. I mentioned her a lot on the podcast. She was a guest, motivational speaker, and she had said that there's no such thing as work-life balance, but she fixed that comment, and what she meant was, if you're an entrepreneur, entrepreneurialism is a lifestyle. And so our time off is part of what we do to make a living. Because if you don't recharge, you can't be successful in the goals that you have. And that's really what she meant.
Yeah.
So when I'm on vacation, I have to stop and answer emails sometimes. I just do. I'm self-employed. And if it's a long-time client that's been with me 25 years, I'm not going to leave them hanging.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose them.
Same.
So
there is that aspect, right? I really do try my best, but there are times, when something will come up and I just have to handle it. But yeah.
Yeah, we were in France on vacation, and a buddy of mine was there. He lives there, and so he speaks the language. He's American, but he speaks the language really well, and so he's giving us a tour all around and helping us get around. And I said, okay, coffee shop time. Need to go to a coffee shop. I've got to answer these 4 emails. And so we logged on, did what we had to do, and then went back to it. There's no way around it. Well, let's do this, because time is flowing by so fast. Maybe you'll come back again. We'll cover more stuff.
Absolutely. I would love that.
That would be great. Let's do that. So one more thing. What are you most grateful for today?
I am most grateful for my family. They're my peace. They're my rock. And I am really grateful.
I love that. That's perfect. I'm the same. We were unable to have kids, and now I'm too old. We're not going to even try that.
But you have a cute little baby nonetheless.
I do. Little Bailey, our dog, is the best. And I have a house full of fish tanks as well, which you're going to laugh, but I just lost one of them. She was huge, and she was a big blood parrot, and it was like a dog.
I used to have saltwater tanks. That was one of my my babies. Yes.
They know who you are. They come over. They say hi.
I had a grouper. I would hand feed. It was a coral. So we would put the little krill in, and it would come up and grab it out of your hand.
Yeah, they become your buddies. They really do. Well, let's do rapid fire, and then we'll have some other questions as well. So let's see, coffee or tea?
Tea.
All right, I'm both. I have to say I'm both.
Maybe I like both. I'm on tea more these days.
Yeah, me too. Beach, sunrise, or mountain sunset?
That is a tough one, but I get a lot of beach sunrises now, so I would pick a mountain sunset. I miss my mountains.
Okay. I was born here, so the beach is just my thing. I can't help it. All right, favorite book you've recommended for more than once?
I actually would say I am so much into Chinese medicine books that's going to be a weird one. How about Atomic Habits?
That'll work. All right. And we all need those. And one health habit we should adopt.
Prioritize sleep.
Sleep. Sleep. Can we do that? I'm going to go take a nap now. Most misunderstood thing about acupuncture, go.
That it's only for pain.
Right? We mentioned that earlier, but it stands true, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a mystery to many
Yeah.
because we don't hear about it, or we didn't. We do now. But early on in my life, you didn't hear about it often.
Or the understanding of how it works. I had a colleague actually in another NPI who said, it's not woo-woo, it's woo-woo.
Oh, I like that. All right. That works for me. All right. Best business advice you've ever received.
Yeah, relationships are your greatest asset.
I love it. And let's see. I'm going to skip one because we've talked about it. So a place you'd love to visit.
Thailand,
Me too.
definitely.
That'd be good.
Bucket list.
Just for the food.
Oh, gosh.
I
yeah.
know, right? Hello. All right. One word that describes your leadership style.
Empowering. I like to empower people to build themselves up.
And in turn, I would say that's empowering to you.
Yeah.
Personally, I'll bet it is. All right. What's something you're currently learning?
Scaling business without sacrificing quality ever.
That's hard to do.
It is.
Yeah. I know that here at the studio. Every time we add a new school, the question is, all right, it's another 500 kids. How are we going to do that? Uphold the quality, turn it around on time, not lose anything, and keep the personal touch of a small local studio.
Yeah.
And so far, we've managed to do that.
It's very important because, like I said, word of mouth is important to me. So it's, it's my number one thing. How well am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah. And how do we, my mentor, who was on this podcast, Bruce Evanson, quality, consistency, and service.
Yeah.
It's not always in photography. We have a style where the styles around us change. I don't change my style. My style is classic and it fits no matter what's going on in the world. They're going to get it on time. It's executed with craftsmanship, if you will, and we turn it around, get it out to them. And the prints that we have a 100-year life expectancy. And I could go down the list of what we do. Don't falter from that, and people come back and they tell others. Mm-hmm. But it takes a while for that to build. So it took me 8 years. All right. So the camera dude, final 5 here. What is your favorite word?
Possibilities.
All right. I like that. That's awesome. All right. What is your least favorite?
Impossible or can't. That's another one.
Yeah, can't. Well, entrepreneurs, that's pretty big.
I tell my son that almost daily. My son is 12 and he'll still come into the I can'ts. And I'm like, we don't use that word, And what are you going to do to make it possible?
Find a way to make it happen.
Make it a game. Solve the puzzle.
I can't is kind of, to me, a cop-out at some point.
Yeah.
So what excites you?
All kinds of transformation.
All right, that's easy. What sound or noise do you love?
Water.
Oh, wow. Yeah, me too. My fish tank's running in the house, or a creek, or
the
a river, ocean.
Creeks, and just water flowing. It's one of my favorites.
One of my favorite things is to sit on a shallow water dive, 30 feet, nothing fancy, beautiful coral reef, and the bubbles are coming out of your regulator. And I would sit in one spot sometimes and just watch a 5-foot area of a reef and all the life teeming through there. Oh my gosh, I could just live there. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
That is a really tough one. My husband and I dream of buying some cool resort in another country, probably specifically Peru even, and starting a wellness, retreat. So that would probably be the one.
All right, where's that at? Let's go.
All right.
Will you make that in the Caribbean, please?
Let's do it.
All right, I love that. So I have to say that this has been exciting. It's knowledgeable, and I know that my listeners are educated much more on the acupuncture and herbalist mentality and how these two modalities, well, actually offer more than two, but the two majors can coincide with what they're doing or stand alone for certain things and to come see you. How do they find you? Give them your website.
BrockIntegrativeHealth.com.
I love it. That's easy. And what about your social media pages? What do you have?
I have Brock Integrative Health on Facebook or Instagram, and I also have a TikTok.
Awesome. So you're on TikTok. Oh, I have to follow you.
Yeah, that's
I'm a
great.
TikTok surfer. I've only posted a few things because I have other platforms with 10,000 followers or whatever, and I just don't want to manage another one.
Yeah.
So that's my entertainment spot, and I follow people that do things that I like, so I'll definitely follow.
Well, I'm starting to build and do more, so you can help
Okay.
support me there. I've
I
got
will
one viral video, so hopefully more to come.
I love that. Okay, perfect. Well, guys, we have to close due to time. I hate doing that. Dr. Brock, thank you for joining us today and helping us better understand the world of acupuncture, herbal medicine, and holistic healthcare. Whether someone is looking for pain relief, stress management, or simply wants to explore additional options for improving their health, and as we learned today, other modalities that go along with what your doctor has. So if you're fighting something huge or you have a small issue or a skin problem, go see Dr. Meli Brock. She's going to take care of you. Gosh, thank you for being here. And I want you to say that, guys, remember always reach out to those who have paved the way ahead of you. They're an incredible resource. Until next time, stay safe, be peaceful, and always look up for directions in life. Catch you on the next Camera Dude podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Camera Dude Podcast. Don't forget to visit us at cameradudepodcast.com for more episodes and exclusive content. Connect with Rob Moorman on moormanphoto.com to explore his professional photography. And when you're ready to hit the road, make memories at sunburstrvresort.com. Until next time, keep capturing moments and chasing dreams. See you on the next episode of the Camera Dude Podcast.